Hello team, and welcome to the Mission Discipleship Plan Vision PowerPoint. Sorry, it's PowerPoint. I know Keynote is better, that's what people say, and I believe them, but I don't have Keynote, so PowerPoint it is. I thought after our talk last night I would spend a little bit more time unpacking this idea of a discipleship plan and how it fits in as a kind of a liaison between our mission and our vision. And hopefully the function of all of those things will become a little more clear as I go through this. So walk with me for a few minutes as we kind of look at a few key questions that we should be able to answer as a church that's desiring to see the kingdom of God built. We've got resources, we've got manpower, we're putting our efforts in certain directions, and so it makes sense that we do those things with intentionality. And so as I think about some of the questions that we as a church should we be able to answer, I think we should be able to answer the question, why are we here? I think we should also be able to answer the question, what is our plan? How do we plan to see the mission, the reason we're here, accomplished? I think we also need to be able to ask the question, are we winning or losing? I know there's lots of different thoughts around how we can quantify things like life change and transformation, but there is a point where we need to be able to ask, are we making progress? Are we moving forward? Are we approaching the vision that we believe God has for us, or are we lagging behind and stagnant and needing to improve or redirect resources? So it's a question we need to be able to answer. And finally, what does success look like? Now, we've already done some of the work here. We've come up with the question, why are we here, and answered it with our mission. This is the reason we exist, is to glorify God through being and making disciples who love God, love people, and are equipped to lead others to Jesus, which is a fantastic reason to exist. It's from the lips of Jesus, so we couldn't do any better than that. Now, often the jump happens, I think, to this question of what does success look like? Now, based on our conversation yesterday, we could come up with, and this isn't a good mission statement, but it summarizes some of our thoughts, something like this. As a vision, what success looks like for us is that we believe God desires us to be a is one word there, but I meant it to be two, to be a healthy, growing, attractive, multicultural, and missional community who consistently sees spiritual growth in believers and regularly sees new people coming to faith in Jesus. So that would be something of a vision. So the way the two are connected would be basically in all the stuff that we do. But the problem that rises up is this. If you don't have a discipleship plan, if there's no plan for consistently seeing our mission accomplished, which is making disciples and helping them grow, we may unintentionally slide towards doing things that only see the vision become a reality, potentially abandoning the mission God has called us to. But our mission is the reason we exist. It's the words from the lips of Jesus about our purpose, the reason for our existence. So our vision is the exciting dreams of what God will do in our midst, but our mission is what needs to drive us forward. So I think what we need to do is kind of put on the back burner for a second this idea of vision and recognize from the place of mission, what is our plan to see the mission accomplished? And so I put out there yesterday this possibility that we will facilitate the making and growing of disciples by helping people connect to God, connect in community, connect to ministry, and connect to the lost. And so that would be kind of more flesh around the bones of the mission. This is a little bit more the practical outworkings of it. And then within each of those categories that we desire to see people fall into and grow in, we would have different ministries and strategies. So for example, in connecting to God, we might see that being one of the primary focuses of our Sunday evening services, prayer and worship nights, freedom sessions, things where people are connecting with God, being healed by Him and building relationship with Jesus. Those would be things that we would desire to see in all the people that come. Connecting community would be things like community groups, men's and women's ministries, mentoring relationships. We would put effort into those things to help people connect in community. We would connect people to ministry, whether it's a media or worship team, whether it's missions or local outreach, somehow helping people discover their gifts and use those within the church. And we would be helping people and encouraging them to connect to the lost. So this would be evangelism training, possibly sports ministries, ESLs, that kind of stuff. And so if we're doing those things and we're intentionally helping people grow and deepen their commitment to Christ and to the church, we would then at some point have to ask the question, are we winning or losing? Are we doing this well? But the question itself depends on where we believe God is taking us. If we don't answer that question first, we can't really evaluate if we're winning or losing or making progress or standing still. We need to know where God is taking us, where we believe He's asking us to go. And this is where the big dreams and the vision come into play. And so this is the time when a vision comes into play. We believe God desires us to be a healthy, growing, attractive, multicultural, and missional community who consistently sees spiritual growth in believers and regularly sees new people coming to faith in Jesus. That's the big dream that we have. And when we talked about this yesterday, we realized that we can unpack the statements. And by unpacking these statements like healthy and growing, we can ask questions about whether or not we're doing what we set out to do. And so we would be able then to ask questions about our health, to gauge whether or not we're being faithful in what God is leading us towards. So is ongoing discipleship happening? Are we offering programs that facilitate ongoing discipleship? Is giving on the rise? Is volunteerism strong? Do we have a positive reputation in the community? Likewise with growing, are people coming to faith? Are people being baptized? Is attendance on the rise equally across all programs? Why or why not? And on and on. And so as we look at this, we have in the first two categories a desire to stay very closely connected to the mission, the reason that God has called us into existence in the first place. And as we move across the other two categories, we find the vision being something that we look forward to, that we dream big about, that we're excited about God inspiring in us, but we never move forward towards the vision at the expense of the mission and the reason God has called us into existence. So we exist to make disciples, and as we look to be healthy, as we look to grow, as we look to be multicultural, we strive towards those things with a desire to see people come to know Jesus, to become disciples, and to us ourselves grow in being people who love God and love people. And so that's how some of these things kind of work together in my mind. So in essence, if we were to kind of number them, we would say answering the question, why are we here, is first, which we have done. I would say the second question that we need to come to some conversation and agreement on is, what is this plan that we have to see the mission accomplished? How are we going to make sure everything we do fits into our desire and our mission to glorify God through being and making disciples? I think then we jump over to the question of vision and we say, what does success look like? This is where we're dreaming. We're asking God, what is it you want us to move towards and believe and pray that this can only happen with your help and in your power. And then once we know what success looks like, how God has inspired us to dream, then we can say, are we winning or losing? Are we progressing towards that? Are we intentional about bringing that reality about through the things that we do? And then finally, we would focus on these detailed things. What are the programs? What are the events? What are the things we focus on specifically on a week-to-week basis that help people become disciples and grow in their commitment to Christ and to the church? I hope that's helpful in explaining some of how these things tie together and some of the process that's unfolding, at least in my mind and in my experience, that we have been following and will continue to work towards. And so I'll leave that with you. Hopefully that brings some clarity to some of the stuff we're doing. When it comes especially to vision, we had an opportunity yesterday to put down different thoughts and opinions we had about what we believe God is calling us to. That call is still open as you're praying, as you're seeking. What do you see God calling us to in the next few years? What kinds of things would be exciting, big dreams that we only can accomplish and see done through the power and work of God in our midst? Dream those out loud. Send them to me in an email, and as some of us get together a little later this week to kind of try and consolidate and clarify some of this vision stuff, we'll take all those into account. So there you go, another 10-minute vlog from Dustin. Hope you loved it. Bye.